Okay, hi, I am Brandy Justice, and I'm here with my coworkers. There's Amy Ratliff.
Hi.
And Autumn Haversack. Okay, ladies, so for my PLC class, I had to do an action research project, and I was researching the effects of incorporating Shakespeare in the classroom. Okay, so like Autumn said, as soon as I told her I was doing Shakespeare, like most kids groan, right? Because it's so difficult. So I wanted to try to figure out how can I help students enjoy Shakespeare. So I had two research questions. My first one is, does reading and analyzing Shakespearean dramas increase the performance on the reading ACT? And then, does viewing Shakespearean dramas alongside the reading of the text increase the comprehension? Okay, so here's my literature review. For close reading, because that's the one that most people use often, that's what I use most often, the research said that students often become frustrated when asked to read it because of the archaic language and just the language and the lack of the historical context. But as I said already, it is the most common strategy used to teach Shakespeare. It is recommended, two people recommended that students should read the text silently, then read it again aloud, and then try to envision the movement of the characters and the speech and all of that, like the dynamics of the play. Also, even though it is like the most widely used strategy, most kids like meet it with such negativity that they just end up rejecting Shakespeare, not liking it, like Autumn. But in one study, this one guy, he tested all the different modes. He had like 5 different ways of teaching Shakespeare, and he found that the close reading yielded the lowest results on all of the assessments that he gave. So for each act, he would do a different strategy, like close reading, and then he would do like a graphic novel, and then the film version and a performance version, and then the No Fear Shakespeare version. And this one was the lowest results of the test.
Which one now?
The close reading had the lowest results, yeah. But the highest results that he had actually was the film was the highest results of the test. Okay, so with the use of film, of course, Shakespeare's plays were meant to be watched, not to be read. But students, they are not used to analyzing stuff that they watch, so you're just used to like sitting back and enjoying it. So that's where the problem was. And also, a lot of teachers, they don't really want to use the film because there's a lot of like subjectivity. So a lot of directors change things to fit their own like agenda. As to before, the use of film, it resulted in 15% higher test results than all the other ones, the average of the test. And this one guy, Samson, he says the solution for teachers that aren't really wanting to use film is to use the opening scene. And it's really cool because the film that he used it with is Romeo and Juliet, the DiCaprio version, and then the older version, so that the kids can compare the two and see the difference in how the directors interpreted it. Yeah. Okay. So for my methods, how I researched, I used a quantitative approach with a survey and then with the CERT assessment data. So I sampled 95 ninth grade students in my English classroom. And to do that, I used the CERT reading assessment and then a survey where they had to rate their opinions on a scale of 1 to 3. So for the CERT, we give it every fall, winter, and spring. And so I compared their spring reading scores, which was after we read Shakespeare, to the fall reading scores, their incoming scores. And then with the survey, it was completed after 4 weeks of Shakespeare. The questions were based on their preference, so which one they enjoyed more, the film or the close reading, and then their understanding, so which one helped them understand it more. So these are my results. I was really excited. So I understand Shakespeare most when it's read and discussed in class.
Oh,
70.5%.
That's surprising.
I know. And only 26.9% understood it more when watching the movie.
And that kind of contradicts what he said when he said that Shakespeare's plays were to be watched and not read.
I know, it's kind of cool. So what I did a lot, we would read the scene and then watch the movie, or we would do it vice versa. Like I'd show the scene, and then a lot of times the kids had no idea what was going on, so I'd ask them questions they wouldn't know. So then we'd have to backtrack and do a close reading, and then they'd understand. It's kind of cool. I enjoy Shakespeare the most, though, whenever the movie is watched. So it's 57%, but it's really not a whole lot higher than the 41% of reading and discussed in class. Not compared to that anyway. So I was really excited. As far as the CERT reading results, this is the fall. So at the time, there were only, I think, a little over 30% at or above benchmark, and there was, tons below it. But during the spring, it was almost even. It was 41% below benchmark, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it was around 40% were at 40 kids, sorry, I'm all jacked up. 40 kids were below benchmark and 41 were above it. It was like even almost.
Yeah, it's pretty good gains.
And on average, the kids increased 1.03 ACT points on the reading based on that. So the next steps is to encourage the use of film with the Shakespearean curriculum, because even though the kids like the close reading the best, I think that it gives a variety. And there are some kids who didn't understand it as much, so it, meets them too. Also, to incorporate more analysis of Shakespearean texts in like ACT prep classes. And then allow opportunities for the students to read closely in all complex texts, not just Shakespeare. And the conclusion, even though it's dreaded a lot by students, that they can be enjoyed, like I love them. And it's also important to use a variety of instructional strategies to keep them engaged. And then lastly, the really cool one is that Shakespearean texts improve reading scores.
Great.
There's my references. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was really excited about it.
So is it recording our faces the
Yep.
whole time, even though it was on there?
Yep.
Oh, gosh.
Thank
I
you.
realized that. Oh.